Alright, welcome back everyone. This is Stellaris. We are going to resume where we left off. We're going to go ahead and increase the speed back to normal, and I'll talk through some of the first steps I'm going to take. Alright, so first off, I set the science ship, as I showed in the previous one, to start surveying all these different areas. I want to show the fleet stances here. So it's important to note that ships are going to default to evasive if they're going to be construction ships or science ships. You can change that evasion just by left-clicking on it and it'll become passive. That means if it encounters an enemy, it won't freak out and run away, but it might also get hunted down and destroyed. So if you're worried about losing the ship, keeping it on evasive will keep it safe. If you put it on, as this is not a military ship, the only options are passive and evasive. We do have some Armada ships here. This is an Armada, and we can change its fleet stance from passive to aggressive to evasive and back to passive. Alright, so we also can left click on the leader and you'll see that there's nobody here, and that might concern you, but there's actually a recruit button. So we go ahead and recruit, and then we get some choices here for admirals. It's important to look at the age. Knowing what age they are, the younger they are, the longer they're going to live. This guy's actually got a bonus of 25 lifespan in addition to his 33. But then there's some other stuff here, so like leadership gains 15%, and then another lifespan here. So if you get a lifespan bonus of 25 on a 42, it's not as valuable as on a 33, so I think this is the best option to go with. We'll go ahead and recruit that general. It cost us influence points. We went down from our 100 down to, I think we got 3 months worth of a bonus there, so it was 100. We lost 50 by purchasing him, and then we go ahead and hit assign him to the fleet. So now he's leading the fleet of ships, and we've got them on passive, and we can send them to any solar star system we'd like. Alright, so within here we've got our science ship buzzing around looking at any of these planets to see if there's any minerals. And what else we got? Construction ship can't actually build anything right now except for maybe some wormhole generators. This is where I mentioned you get a little pop-up. It says that they found something on the Elastrian shelter. They must have been active in this region of space approximately 12 million years ago, judging by the age. So these are things where like it comes up and you have like if you hover over it, it says interesting is my only option to take. And it begins the precursors event. So this is like a quest chain that you go through, and I'll show you how to get started.
Situation log updated.
So we've been receiving the announcement that the situation log is updated. So what we do is we click on the situation log, which is also hotkeyed to F3 by default. And if we open this up, we can see the situation log, which is effectively a quest log, and it's saying that we need to recover 6 artifacts. Alright, so that will progress us, and each one will come with a reward for finding that. Alright, so right now we don't have any of those quest sites found, but as our science ships travel around, we'll find them. Alright, contact reports remnant. So here's another, it's saying that we found some remnants. And if I take a look at this, we now have explored this Elastrian shelter, which has got a 3 on the tech symbol, so you can see I've got +5 right now. If I take that construction ship and I right click here, I'll get the option to build a research station, and it costs 67 for me. Alright, we can also zoom out to the little bit higher up here in the galaxy map and just right click on that star, and we're given the option to build that same mining station, but we can also build research stations.
Complete.
So we've got quite a bit of engineering. We can double our engineering by building those research stations. So let's go ahead and right click, and we're going to build a mining station to get started. That way we can increase our infrastructure, having more minerals, or our income is larger. We have a science ship that has no leader in it, so I can't survey anything with that science ship, but what I can do is go to places I've never seen before. This is an unknown star. So it's important you want to take the science ship, you can put it on passive. You don't care about this science ship because it doesn't have a leader that you're going to worry about losing all the experience you've gained. So, and it's going to cost a lot of influence to replace them. So let's send out unmanned science ships just to go and explore. So we just hold down that shift key, and we're going to start exploring. And what they're going to do is find with their high sensor ranges, they'll find whether there are any habitable planets out here. Anything that has the indicator of low means I don't have any information really about it. I don't know what's there. So I want to go ahead and zip to each of these so I can see what's located there. And I'm just holding down shift key and right-clicking, left-clicking the move. Alright, so we have now selected every star within our wormhole range for a unmanned science ship to go investigate. Our armada is only 79. There are going to be pirates or different factions that I'm going to need to defend our base from. And as you see, we've got a spaceport where we can create additional corvettes. Because of the faction I have, I can make one really large corvette per leader lifespan. And right now, my leader, he's going to live a very long time. So if I look at my government, this guy's got, he's age 46. Generally, the average is 60, but I got a bonus of 25 lifespan on, or is it 30? I got 30 lifespan on my species, so they will live to age 90 before they start having any problems. If I click on leaders, I can click on this guy, look at this, and see the experience going up. Age 39. Age is under 102, so his chance of death is 0% per month. So when he gets to 102, then he will start to have a chance at which he might just randomly die on me. Okay, so that's where the age comes into play. So if you didn't have any age bonuses, and perhaps you had shortened lifespans, it could be like 40 years when you have your guys start dropping dead. And since they only start their leadership at like age 20 to 30, and then oftentimes they're older than that, you might find yourself in a constant deficit on influence as you try to keep enough leaders in your systems. So it's important to have that lifespan bonus. Alright, so our construction is complete, and you can see that that went from white to green on the minerals. So now that construction ship is ready for new orders. We've got a little bit more of a boost to our minerals. We can right click on that and we can tell them go ahead and build some more mining stations. So that will do both the energy and the minerals, since I had enough for it. And you can see I'm at a bit of a low number of minerals now, since I just spent 165-ish for that. Another thing that we're going to want to do, as I mentioned, there's pirates and whatnot out here that I'm going to want to defend against, is they will come and they will die upon your spaceport, but only if they get to your spaceport. So what you want to do to go ahead and defend yourself a little bit more is you want to build a trap. And this trap is very potent early game. So that trap consists of a military station sitting right next to your spaceport. So what that will do, and we'll go ahead and cancel the orders. So we've got the construction ship selected, and if we wanted him to stop what he's doing right now, he's building on this. So one way I could just say enter orbit, and he will continue to build what he's working on right now. You can see that in the tracker here, but he stopped building the other thing, and what that did is refund me the minerals. I didn't lose anything doing that. And now I have the ability to build this military station. So I can click on that military station and select which one I want. So if I were to go to the ship designer, I could modify the station. Here's the defensive platform, and it's defaulted, all of them are, to snare, and that means that any ship that's coming into the star system will get stuck wherever you stick this station, and the station will open up fire with its 4 medium red lasers and anything else I stick on it here. So you can upgrade, adding additional fusion reactors. You get bonuses to the performance of your station, the more energy it has in surplus. But what we'll go ahead and do here, keep it simple, is we're going to select to build a defensive station. I like to get rid of the tilt because you're not sure where you're sticking it. It could be too far away if you don't zone down here. And while space has an X, Y, and Z, in this game it's pretty flat in the sense that there is no really going up in this space area like maybe Sins of Solar Empire might have. That's why it's important to use the right mouse button to change your angle of view so that you can build things appropriately and so that they're close to what you want to defend.
Construction complete.
Alright, so the construction ship is finished building the mining station. Now they're on their way over next to the starport, the spaceport. They're going to build that defensive platform, and that's going to act as kind of like an interdiction field. So think like Star Wars, where there's an interdictor and the rebel fleet comes flying in and they get stuck and they can't leave. Well, this will slow down their ability to jump out of this system, and normally ships have to go to the edge here to jump out, but if they do an emergency jump, they have a
System
chance to
survey
lose
complete.
ships, and if they're getting blown the heck up, they're going to take that chance. So they're going to do an emergency jump out, and this is going to help slow down how long it's going to take for them to prepare for that emergency jump. And it takes days, it takes perhaps a month to prepare for an emergency jump. And as you see, we're going through a day a second here, so time is pretty fast. So we're building that station. Now we're ready for encounters. Meanwhile, our science ship, as it's still moving from star to star to star, is finding information for us. So right now we've identified 3 planets, and I had to hover over each of them to see that it was just 3, because sometimes you'll find multiple habitable planets within a same star system. And then you'll notice there's numbers next to them. My people like desert worlds, and these worlds are likely, because they're green, they're likely going to be 80% or higher. If it was red, it would be 40 to 0%, and if it was above that 40%, yellow. So between that 45, 80 range, or I'd say 75-ish, because it usually goes in 5 increments. Those would be indicated in yellow. These are indicated in green, so these are going to be very habitable for my people. So what I want to do now is target them for an additional survey.
Complete.
So I'm going to go ahead and right-click and then survey that system. I'm going to survey that star, and I'm already surveying this one over here. So because I'm able to survey them and they have habitable planets, I might find that they are currently colonized by another species that isn't starfaring. If it was starfaring, it would also have a ring around it of influence and that you wouldn't be able to build within space. So that's how you know that there aren't any other spacefaring nations you'd be encountering their ships. So you're kind of, at first it feels like you're alone in space. They really have a great feel for that. So it's kind of fun. You're out here on your own, and then as you start expanding, you bump up against other spacefaring nations, species. All right, so we're building up our minerals here. If we look on the tech, you'll see that we still haven't gotten to the point where we can build a colony ship. We have a construction ship that's idle. We've got quite a bit of minerals. We can go ahead and...
Situation log updated.
All right, so we encountered another aliens. This is the beginning of encountering spacefaring ships. This is actually... You can take a close look at that ship a little bit here. It looks to be... They are sending out a science festival. So this is a spacefaring species, not just a roaming... almost like an animal kind of ship. You have almost like space squids. Those you can encounter as well, and you'll have a contact. So we have our military station built. So now we have our defense here. So if anybody jumps in, they'll end up smack next to our spaceport, which will open fire, and you can see the strength of the different structures. The leader just gained a level. So our fleet is only a 78. But our spaceport is 1,000, right? So the 1,000 is going to defeat 78 every day. So as long as we only build structures on our host star here, because it's protected by the spaceport, we shouldn't have any problems. Anything that we build on the fringe would normally get attacked by pirates. If I put things out here and I encountered a pirate group, I'd have to send my fleet to defend all those, and I don't want to spend those resources. I have 79 in my fleet. I want my guys to be on evasive. I don't want them to fight unless I tell them to. So they're going to just chill and hang out inside the starport, and I believe you actually don't have to pay as much when they're sitting inside a spaceport to maintain them. So the cost is minerals and energy credits in order to maintain. If you hover over it, it'll tell you the ship maintenance is minus 3.51 per turn, and I'm only getting +1 right now. So if I were to disband all my ships, then I would actually increase my energy and mineral draw every turn, every month. Okay. So what next? We want to take our construction ship. We want to further our mining stations. So we'll right-click and then have them build additional mining stations. So that construction ship's going to go from mineral node to energy node, building those stations. And I'm going to want to colonize as many planets as I can, but be careful. It costs you influence and it costs you minerals to colonize, but if you can't if you can't protect it, in early game, all you need really is a spaceport in order to protect it, along with a military station to act as an interdictor field and pull them in order to control the fight, make sure that they are right next to the big guns. And that will help you defend your territory and grow without loss of minerals and energy, which is very crucial early game because you're looking to build up your infrastructure. I wanted to just show you here when I looked on the surface level of our planet, our capital planet. These items in yellow are areas that have like sprawling slums. So right now they're not able to be used. I have to clear it away. It's going to cost me energy, minerals, and time in order to clear this away, and then I'll be able to use that tile. You can see here that I built a farm, but there's nobody on the farm to work it right now, so that's just an empty structure not being used. If I wanted more food, I could sacrifice a worker from one of these spots and just left click and drag them. So if I wanted more food at the cost of minerals, I could drag him over into the farm, and now we've got 6 food coming in. The more food you have, the faster you're going to have additional populace ready to work. So this guy's coming up here. He's got 42.2 out of 48.4, and it says I'm going to get plus 1.6 per turn. Well, if I take that same guy, put him back in the minerals, I'm instead of getting 1.6, I'm getting 1.3. Doesn't seem like a whole lot, but it's per month, and I'd say it's about a sixth of an increase there. So you're looking at like I don't know, what is that, 18% increase. So it's nice to have them on the food nodes, and then they'll automatically create guys and they'll stick them where default where they think it would be most sense. Alright, so we got another mineral node. We're bringing in 14 a turn now. We got an idle science ship. He's investigated everything he can do, and again, this is unmanned. So in order to expand out my reach, I can go ahead and build from the construction ship a wormhole station. So because this has a habitable planet and it's 15, this one's 22, and this one's 14, likely this 22 indicates it's a larger planet. It hasn't yet been surveyed, but that's what this ship here is doing, is it's going to go out here and survey. Because it has 22, that means it has 22 slots. So if I click on my planet here, this one right here is showing that it is... where does it say it? It's a 19. Planet size is 19. It's got 19 slots where populace can inhabit and perform work for you. So you want to get the larger planets first if you can, because you'll have more room to grow, and then really it's based on whether they have spots that you can actually build on. If I were to click on this planet here, you can see that these 5 are deep sinkholes or quicksand basins, and I actually have to learn the tech to remove these so that they can be usable for my people. But this planet has lots of food inherently, so it'll be able to populate pretty quickly. So this might be a good one to start with, populating. So we'll look at that in the future. And again, I want to make sure the science ship is going to go over to this planet here, which has not yet been surveyed either. So after they get done surveying here, they'll go there. And in the meantime, I can keep my ships safely at home, build my minerals, tech up towards colony ships, and I don't have a purpose yet for this science ship, so let's go ahead and send the science ship home. He's currently set to passive. I could recruit another leader and use them to speed up my surveying speed. That's probably not a bad idea, so let's go ahead and recruit. See what we've got here. We've got this guy. These are the different options they've got. This one says survey speed is increased by 25%, so that seems very good for somebody that's going to be in a science ship surveying. So let's go ahead and recruit him, and then we can go ahead and select him as as the leader for that ship. Now that he's in position here, I can go ahead and have him start surveying different star systems in the nearby area within reach. And since I've got this guy, you know what, I want him to go ahead and survey this planet first, since it's got a planet that is potentially habitable. Because it's red, it's not something that my people would likely be able to colonize unless it's a 40%, which is just on the cusp. And you'll notice that your people are less happy when they're in planets that aren't suitable to their living, their habitability. So this ship is going to go survey within this system and tell me what's there. Alright. So with that, we've covered some of the surveying of planets. We know what's going on inside our surface. We can get rid of these by clearing away, and how to increase our population. We've got this this person populated here. We can go ahead and build.
Anomaly found.
Okay, so here we found an anomaly. Surprise! So because we're surveying, we can come across some interesting things, and they kind of have random buffs or catastrophes that might happen. So there's a failure for risk, and this is the most important stat. This one says 30%. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it is, especially when you can potentially lose your science ship and your officer. So if you see anything that is in the yellow or the red, beware, don't do it. If it's under 20, you should be safe. So here's another anomaly. This one's 80% failure risk. No thank you, right? It's still there. We can come back to it later. Let's leave it be for now. As our science officers gain in their experience, they'll be able to handle more difficult surveying. And so we just want to leave them be. I went ahead and left the other one that was 30% alone as well. We're just going to let those quest submissions be. If I were to where are they? Trying to get that this thing's flashing over here. Alright, so you can see that little microscope here. This is a Tech 1 Cloud Dance quest, and then this one is Terminal Orbit, which is a level 3. So I'm going to want to have my science officers at a higher level in order to do those more safely. And they're going to gain experience as they fly around and survey. Alright, so right now we got 278. We can continue to increase our structures here. You probably want to slow it down and only build at the pace that you're creating populace for. So right now I've got an empty slot, but I want to go ahead and keep my food production up so that I can have additional workers quicker. Alright, so this one is again not functional, so what I can do is deactivate it. This will save power. So right now we got +2 power per turn. If I deactivate it, and it increases by a slight amount. It's still showing 2, but if I hover over it, I get monthly gain of 2.35, and if I activate it, it's a monthly gain. Well, my goodness, it's roughly the same, so it hasn't really changed too much here. But you can deactivate in order to save some energy and resources here. Encounter in Mergatus, we've got another species, aliens out there somewhere. So I'm going to want to start colonizing as fast as possible so that other species that find this planet, these different planets here appealing, they might try to take the planets before me. So it's important that I get my colony ship out very soon. And you can increase that by upping the tech. So when you look at the surface, you can see different tech nodes. This one's a 2 science, this one's 2 engineering. This is pretty high. We have 1 here that's society, and we can clear the area so that we can increase the society from +5 to make it 6. So that's a 20% increase in your speed just by clearing this away and sticking a worker on it. You can then build on top of it, and you're going to do a basic science lab, and that'll increase it even further. So that would be a 40% increase if I were to clear this node and then build on top of it a science lab. And then you also get a bonus to engineering and science, or the physics research, as a bonus there, because you can see it's giving not just 1 but 3 different techs. It's a spread. And then as you further your science labs, for example, you'd get more science, and then you'd still get a little bit of the society and engineering, but for the most part it would focus in on the flavor that you've chosen. Alright, well, I hope this has been helpful as we give tips on Stellaris starting out, and I will see you in the next episodes as we colonize our first planet. Thank you, and take care. Stay safe out there in Stellaris next time.